All right, so this is the Cuban Missile Crisis that happened during the Cold War. Having problems. All right, let's see. The Soviet Union placed nuclear missiles in blank 90 miles off the coast of Florida. I wonder what it is. In 1962, the world narrowly escaped nuclear holocaust during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The United States and the Soviet Union faced each other in a dispute over Soviet placement of nuclear missiles in Cuba, 90 miles off the coast of Florida. All right. The missiles would counter U.S. missiles in blank near Soviet territory. Here's the map, so you can see how close this is to Florida. Like, it's right there. So, super close. And setting off a nuclear bomb near here, it's gonna have wide range effects. Well, they probably would have shot it, like, up here. Not down here, because it might even affect them. So, somewhere over here. Alright, anyways. Moving on. There were several possibilities why the Soviets placed nuclear missiles in Cuba. First, the missiles could protect Cuba from possible U.S. military aggression. Second, the Soviets would gain a strategic advantage over the United States in case of global nuclear war. Finally, the missiles would counter the U.S. installation of missiles in Turkey, near Soviet territory, in 1959. So, yeah, this is pretty close to them. So they're kind of like, oh, you're close to us? Well, we'll get close to you. Kennedy did not remove any missiles in formal or informal negotiations. The U.S. government had an idea Soviets wanted to place missiles in Cuba for some time. However, it was not until August 29, 1962 that a U-2 spy plane confirmed this to President John F. Kennedy. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara proposed 3 courses of action for the United States. First, it could try to resolve the problem diplomatically by discussing it with the Soviets and the Cubans. Should have an S. Second, it could form an air and naval blockade around Cuba to prevent further shipments of missiles. Finally, it could order an airstrike to destroy the missiles and then invade Cuba. On October 22nd, Kennedy announced a blockade of Cuba. The United States would seize offensive weapons and associated material that the Soviets were delivering to Cuba. After 6 tense days, Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, agreed to halt further shipments of missiles and to dismantle the existing ones in Cuba. He agreed this only after Kennedy promised not to invade Cuba. Khrushchev also wanted the U.S. missiles removed from Turkey. During formal negotiations, Kennedy refused, but then informally agreed to remove them and did so. So he did remove them informally. So this is false. All right. According to the video, MAD stands for and means that both sides would destroy each other if a nuclear war happened. Both sides would suffer terribly. I need to go in here and add some S's. Let's look at the rest of this first. Documents released 35 years later revealed that, unknown to both the U.S. and Soviet leaders, Soviet field commanders in Cuba had complete authority to fire their missiles. In addition, U.S. military officials undertook several secret sabotage missions in Cuba and an American aircraft accidentally strayed into Soviet airspace at the height of the crisis. Any of these situations could have triggered a nuclear war. And here were, I guess, different ones. So where they were based, I guess Minuteman and Jupiter. The UK had Thor, US had Atlas, US had Titan. Soviet Union had Sapwood, Sadler, Skeen, and Sandal. Okay. All right, so we are looking for what MAD stands for.
After World War II, relations between the former Allies, the United States of America, and the Soviet Union broke down and brought about an era known as the Cold War, where the world was divided by politics and ideology in East and West. The end of World War II had brought about a new age of warfare in the form of the atomic bomb. The 1950s saw a massive amount of nuclear testing, with the USA and the Soviet Union constantly demonstrating how powerful they were. One incident which could have ended it all for everyone was the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962. After the Cuban Revolution led by Fidel Castro in 1959, Cuba, who had been an ally of the US, began to make links with the Soviets. America attempted to invade Cuba at the Bay of Pigs by training Cuban exiles, but suffered a defeat. The Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev had the idea to place nuclear missiles in Cuba to deter any future invasion, similar to the Jupiter missiles the US had placed in Turkey and Italy in case of a Soviet invasion. He also wanted the NATO-controlled West Berlin, which he planned to bargain for. The missiles were secretly shipped to Cuba, and construction began to make them operational. On October 14th, an American U-2 aircraft noticed the missiles in Cuba, and the CIA informed the President the next morning in Washington, D.C. The medium-range ballistic missiles had the ability to launch as far as D.C. The long-range ballistic missiles could reach almost all of the contiguous United States. President John F. Kennedy was faced with many choices. The Joint Chiefs of Staff believed that a full-scale attack and invasion of Cuba was the only option, but in doing this, the Soviets would retaliate, ultimately leading to total nuclear war.
Mutual assured destruction. All right, according to the video, Fidel Castro felt betrayed by the Soviet Union.
Kennedy wanted to avoid appearing like a bunch of trigger-happy cowboys in the eyes of their allies. Technically, these new nukes didn't change much, as they added 40 nukes to the Soviet arsenal of 300, compared to the United States' 5,000 strategic nukes, but they couldn't seem to be doing nothing. On October 18th, Kennedy met the Soviet Minister of Foreign Affairs, who assured him that any weapons in Cuba were defensive. Kennedy didn't want him to know what he already knew. They decided to blockade Cuba, calling it a quarantine because technically a blockade was an act of war. It kept the US in control and wasn't the most aggressive thing to do. Any Soviet ships found to be carrying weapons to Cuba would be turned back. He informed his allies what was going on before addressing the nation. The United States moved to DEFCON 3. The world stirred uncomfortably, wondering how bad the threat was. The Pope appealed to both Khrushchev and Kennedy, asking for peace. Khrushchev publicly compared the quarantine to piracy and warned Kennedy that this was an act of aggression. The photos of the missiles were shown to the United Nations Security Council in front of the Soviet ambassador, who had refused to confirm their existence. The USA moved to DEFCON 2 and prepared for all-out war. Some Soviet ships challenged the blockade, but most of the...
That was defense... Hang on. Defense readiness condition. All right, so basically just upping the scale of, okay, we might be getting closer, and going up.
Prepared for all-out war. Some Soviet ships challenged the blockade, but most of the ships, presumably carrying weapons, turned around. An invasion was still on the cards, but they decided to hold out for diplomacy. Neither side were backing down. The situation was at a stalemate. Word reached Kennedy via a Soviet spy offering...
Let me also say this, like, chiefs of staff are going to be people who are in the military. And if you're in the military, your training essentially is to fight and defensively to provide a big enough defense to fight if necessary. So there is a tendency for chiefs of staff, generals, anything like that to kind of take a very strong position on, we gotta stop this, we need to actively do something, whether it's a drone strike, whether it's invading a country, whether it's whatever. If you're used to that, you grew up with that, then you're kind of more likely to go in that direction for problem solving. And diplomacy is iffy. You have to be good at compromising, and people seem to get less and less good at compromising. All right. So, yeah, diplomatic solution. Okay.
A possible diplomatic solution. The Soviets would remove the missiles under UN supervision if the US promised not to invade Cuba. A letter then appeared for Kennedy, appearing to have been written personally by Khrushchev, offering that the two of them stop tightening the knot of war and dooming the world. Its authenticity was dubious, and they studied it further. Feeling an invasion of Cuba imminent, Fidel Castro suggested to Khrushchev that the Soviets should attack first, before the US did. On October 27, which became known as Black Saturday, Khrushchev made a public broadcast offering a new deal to Kennedy, that he removed Jupiter missiles from Turkey. It contradicted the previous offer, indicating that there may have been a coup of power. The Jupiter missiles were obsolete, and the US had planned to remove them anyway. Turkey didn't like being used as bargaining chip. An American U-2 plane, which was checking the progress of the missiles, was shot down over Cuba. Neither side chose to escalate the crisis despite this happening. The US decided to ignore Khrushchev's second offer and take him up on the first.
So, yeah, we're unlikely to invade Cuba. This is John F. Kennedy's brother. And so I guess here's the ambassador. But of course they're not gonna, you can be like, we're unlikely to do this, and this guy's like, okay.
First offer with the added secret guarantee that Jupiter.
So we'll remove Jupiter missiles too, just don't tell anyone. It's kind of like we want to be strong, we don't want to be seen as giving into you, essentially. So that's where that is coming from. That's why they would do it in kind of informally versus formally. Because even if people know, then to me it looks a little sneaky, and it's kind of like, you should have just said fine. But because the Cold War was so tense, they didn't want to look weak or like they were giving into something, even if it was equal, which, I mean, taking missiles out of Cuba in exchange for Turkey, especially if the ones in Turkey weren't really working, I mean, you kind of have the advantage there.
Missiles in Turkey would be removed a few months later voluntarily. As they waited for the response, they continued to prepare for war and urged their allies to do the same. A US Navy ship dropped warning depth charges at a Soviet submarine on the blockade line. The sub was armed with nuclear torpedoes, but thankfully chose not to fire them. A US plane was also chased out of Kamchatka by MiGs on an unauthorized mission. World War III was so close to happening. Thankfully, by that evening, the Soviets and the Americans had finally come to an agreement. They would remove the missiles from Cuba, Italy, and Turkey. The United States also pledged to leave Cuba alone. Once the weapons were dismantled and on their way home, the US dropped their blockade. Khrushchev initially had left 100 tactical nuclear warheads, not specified in the US demands in Cuba, but in case Castro decided to do something rash with them, Khrushchev also had their chip away. Months after the crisis, the Jupiter missiles were dismantled also, unknownst to the public that it was because of the crisis in Cuba. Despite avoiding total thermonuclear war, the Soviet Union appeared weak by these events, and Khrushchev ultimately lost power 2 years later.
So if you look at this is exactly, so he looks weak, probably especially when it comes out that the Jupiter missiles were being taken out anyway. It looks like the US didn't really give up that much, I guess. It's another reason why, for example, the Kennedys would say, "Oh yeah, that didn't really happen. Yeah, we didn't actually do that," or try to get out of it by using a different excuse. I guess I might need to look into it, but that was not so much the Russian thing. So in a sense, they're like, "Oh, you're weak. You gave in to them." And so he ends up losing the next election.
Castro felt betrayed by the Soviets, although Cuba remained safe, and the less said about Guantanamo Bay, the better. John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, just over a year after the crisis. This crisis was a pure breakdown in communication. The Moscow-Washington hotline was set up from then on to allow the leaders to communicate directly rather than second-guessing each other. The Cold War would continue for decades, and the United States would go on to suffer one of its worst defeats in Southeast Asia. But that's a story for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again.
Dang, that's a whole 45 seconds of subscribe and like. So last one is true. He did feel betrayed. I really would like to know why it does this. Very odd.